Hello and welcome to Correspondence, the best from France 24's teams around the world. You join us from central Paris, where 2 years ago now fire devastated Notre Dame Cathedral. Shortly afterwards, President Emmanuel Macron promised it would be fully restored within 5 years. And on the vast site behind me, teams are doing their best to ensure that happens. Well, this week's programme takes us to another of Europe's iconic landmarks, Italy's Leaning Tower of Pisa, via Peru and Paris. But first we head to Turkey, a country which saw a vast influx of Syrian refugees at the start of that country's bloody civil war. They've now made new lives for themselves in Turkey. As our correspondents Ludovic de Foucault and Shona Bhattacharya discovered, for many of them the dream of ever returning home is fading.
On the front lines of an ongoing crisis, Gaziantep is Turkey's fifth biggest city, located near the Syrian border. Here, more than 1 out of 5 residents is a Syrian refugee.
In 2014, I came to Turkey because of the war. It's been 7 years now, but it's all right. The conditions are good, thank God.
For Abu Mohammed, conditions may be good, but they're unstable. He can lose his job at any time. The owner of the bakery where he works was forced to close his last shop because he didn't have a license.
They come to check the size of my store and tell me that it's too small to give me a license. There are always problems. It's so difficult.
Officially, about 500,000 Syrians live in Gaziantep, yet no extra lines in the municipal budget have been created for their needs. Many work without a license or insurance, are therefore cheaper to employ than Turkish citizens, and are accused of lowering wages. City officials say they're aware of the practice, but claim to be powerless.
They're not Turkish citizens, so we can't set anything aside for them. There are Syrians living in Urfa, Kilis, and other cities that come here to work. And because employers prefer Syrians, Turkish people are left without a job. And with more residents, rents are rising. Those are the kinds of problems we're facing.
Problems that Syrians are made to pay for every day. Doa is a student and has gotten Turkish citizenship. She's no longer afraid to speak her mind.
I've been discriminated against a lot because I'm Syrian. When I went to rent a house, I showed my Turkish ID card. I was told that the document didn't work for me, that in any case I was and would remain a Syrian. The fact that I've become Turkish has somewhat diminished the racism and discrimination, but it hasn't disappeared entirely.
Like other Syrians, Doa has little choice in the matter. Her dreams of Europe have become a fantasy, and going back home is not an option either.
Next to Peru, where leftist Pedro Castillo has just taken a surprise early lead in the race to become the country's next president. This first round election win comes with the country hard hit by the COVID-19 pandemic and by political and economic crises. Increasing numbers of Peruvians are now dependent on food aid. This from Thomas Nicolon.
Every day, a long line of people, entire families without any income, come here to get food to eat and make it through another day.
Every day I come and get my lunch. With the pandemic, I can't work anymore, plus I'm elderly, so I can't find work anyway. I must stay at home at all time, and I need to find ways to survive.
This soup kitchen is run by members of this poor community, an hour and a half from the capital, Lima. The cooks are volunteers. Every day, they give food to 48 local families. That's more than 100 people in total, chosen because they are the most vulnerable.
As you can see, there's a long line of people. They leave their food containers in the morning and pick them up later. As for us, we're here. We cook every day from Monday to Saturday to give enough food to the people in need in our district.
The organization Caritas provides food to more than 150 soup kitchens in all of Peru. This support is vital, as these local initiatives allow several 100,000 people to eat in Lima alone.
The pandemic, just like a natural disaster, has unveiled the reality of our country. Many families lost those who had an income, like moms and dads. Children became orphans without any money, and many old people lost their children who used to provide for them.
The COVID-19 pandemic has hit Peru hard. In 2020, the gross domestic product decreased by more than 12%, and more than 5 million people fell into poverty.
Well, the 2019 blaze here at Notre Dame came at a time when vast scaffolding had been put up as part of restoration work. A cautionary tale, perhaps, for similar projects elsewhere. Our next report comes from the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy, where teams have been abseiling down the outside of the monument as they assess its condition. This from Natalia Mendoza, Lorenzo Pensa and Charlotte Davan-Wetton.
They are art historians and professional architectural restorers. But today, they've swapped the usual tools used for the restoration of historic buildings for climbing harnesses. This morning, they're going to carry out a very unusual maintenance operation on the Tower of Pisa.
We will inspect the state of conservation of different exterior elements of the tower, capitals, columns, arches. But today will be different because we are going to be hanging on ropes.
Indeed, today there is no scaffolding on the famous Leaning Tower. In order to take part in this operation, the group had to complete a training program led by climbing experts.
Placing the first anchor is the most important, because if you don't fix the climbing ropes properly, it can be dangerous. We really don't want to have an accident or damage the building.
Some last words of advice before jumping off from a height of 58 meters. The objective: identify parts of the structure that may be at risk of breaking off.
It's amazing to be able to see the tower from here. It feels like flying. We can inspect the state of conservation of the building close up to see if there are any capitals that need to be secured.
Putting up scaffolding is complicated and it would incur greater costs. This procedure is simpler, more flexible, and allows us to carry out the protection of this historical building faster.
A historic building that, thanks to these acrobatic conservators, continues to shine a light on Italy's cultural heritage throughout the world.
Well, for our final report, it's back to France, where entertainment venues remain firmly closed amid a third national COVID lockdown. But one group of singers here in Paris remains hard at work. They've been bringing their art closer to people's homes. This from Marie Schuster and Olivia Bizot.
Nothing will stop them, be it coronavirus or the work it takes to continuously set the scene for each new concert. Over the past 3 weeks, Martin, Maruska, Yuku and Louise have been bringing opera to Parisian courtyards. The word has been spreading and their work multiplying. On this occasion, they were asked to perform in the courtyard of an affluent building in Western Paris for a resident's birthday. Although not everyone in the building was warned, which caused some tension.
C'est pas un lieu de concert, d'accord? Je vous invite à aller au Champ de Mars, mais ici, il n'en est pas question, d'accord? En plus, vous n'avez même pas demandé l'autorisation.
Despite the complaints, the show went on.
On a des attestations de travail, des contrats, donc on a tout à fait le droit de travailler. Et par ailleurs, le fait de le faire dans les cours, on demande aux gens de rester chez eux et d'ouvrir leurs fenêtres. Ce qui permet en fait de baisser considérablement le risque de transmission intrafamiliale qui est quand même très haut. Donc voilà, on a décidé qu'on était d'utilité publique.
Most residents welcome the concert, a refreshing break from the monotony of lockdown.
Il y a des copropriétés qui sont infiniment plus sympathiques que d'autres. Je pense que c'est lié au fait que dans certaines petites copropriétés, tout le monde peut se mettre d'accord pour nous accueillir, ce qui fait qu'il y a une atmosphère commune, une envie commune, et c'est assez agréable, ça nous porte. Dans d'autres cas, c'est un peu moins l'unanimité. Mais en fin de compte, au début, c'est peut-être moins chaleureux, mais in fine, à la fin du concert, j'ai l'impression que les gens sont quand même contents et que ça permet de fédérer.
These artists are not yet able to make a living from their performances, but they have already achieved their objective: to bring culture to life, no matter what it takes.
That's it for this edition. On camera were Mary Schuster and Manuela Ibunda. Producing was Natasha Millerate. I'm going to leave you now with some images from our programme Reporters and the fight to save some of Sudan's archaeological treasures. More on that on our website, france24.com.